Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Shopping is hard.
I can never find anything in my size.
I don't even know my size.
I buy my clothes the same place I buy my groceries.
There's a better way. Make it easy with Stitch Fix. Just share your size, style, budget, and done. Your personal stylist sends pieces picked just for you.
That was easy.
Stitch Fix. Online personal styling for everyone. Free shipping and returns. No subscription required. Get started today at stitchfix.com.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Make your next move with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. And with a welcome offer of 150,000 points after you spend $20,000 on purchases on the card within your first 3 months of membership, your business can soar to new heights. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum. Amex Business Platinum. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Hey business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Jennifer Dolsky, welcome to the conversation today.
Thanks for having me, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining me from the Bay Area. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about utilizing a personalized AI coach for team development. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you. And as we get started, I wanted to share Jennifer's bio with everybody. Jennifer Dolsky has a wide range of executive experience, including leadership roles at Facebook, Google, and Yahoo, and founder, CEO, and president roles at early stage and scale-up startups. She is currently CEO and founder of Rising Team, a team performance platform that helps companies increase engagement and scale leadership development by equipping managers to lead deeply connecting interactive team sessions remotely or in person without an outside facilitator. I think that's Awesome. I'm super excited to learn more about this because I think this sort of tech is super important and needed in a world of distributed teams and virtual work, either remote or hybrid or however that might look for a particular organization. So this is what we'll be unpacking and exploring together today. Jennifer, anything else you would like to highlight by way of your background and personal context before we launch on it?
I think you covered it quite well. I will say that, as is the case with many founders of companies, I'm essentially building the product I wish I had had as a leader of teams. So a lot of it comes from personal experience and having led teams that were big and distributed globally and not feeling like I had the tools that I needed.
Yeah. And I think it's becoming more and more common. Obviously, the pandemic propelled us forward, accelerated us towards this kind of modality of more distributed teams. But it's not new either. Like, there have been distributed teams for decades. I mean, really, as long as people have done work, there have been a wide range of types of arrangements that people have done. And you can even go back, I don't know, to the old days of telecommuting and things like that. So this has been around for a long time, but the tools are getting better and better. The technology to assist us to be better collaborators, to connect better with each other, and to develop ourselves is improving dramatically. And that's really exciting. I don't want to derail us into this whole like back to office mandate debate or anything like that. But I kind of think that regardless of where someone falls on that, whether you think people should be back in the office or you're more than happy to let people be remote or hybrid or whatever, tools like this help ease the tension, right? It helps managers and leaders feel like they have a better grasp and handle on, what their remote or hybrid teams might be doing. It just provides us with more options, more flexibility. And I think in this day and age, that's really paramount. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
It's critical. I actually started building this company at the beginning of 2020 before the pandemic hit. And it was already important, right? I already felt, as I said, that as a leader, I didn't have the tools I needed, partially because the way we train leaders and managers is pretty broken. We usually put them in a room together as cohorts and we talk at them for a long time, and then we don't give them any tools to bring back to their teams. So I was feeling that already, especially as a manager of, hundreds of other managers. The thing that's really different, and as you said, distributed teams have been around a long time. I've led global teams for many decades, but what's different is the rest of what's happening in our workplace. So, now we're 75% of all teleworkable jobs are hybrid or remote. And we have, as you pointed out, the return to office mandate, which is the very challenging kind of elephant in the room that companies are wrestling with, and employees are very frustrated that companies, keep backtracking on this. And the other things that are different, we have a challenging economy. So there've been rounds and rounds of layoffs, which mean that managers who are left often have much bigger scope than they had before and more on their plates. We also have Gen Z entering the workforce. They have much higher expectations of feeling of belonging and so forth. And then, as we'll talk about more, we have AI coming in on the top, making people feel, a little bit stressed. Is AI going to take my job? So we have this layer of managers that is more overwhelmed than ever. Gartner says 3 out of 4 of them say they're burned out and overwhelmed. And so that's why these tools are more important than ever. It used to be that we could do these things accidentally. I could bump into you at the water cooler and so forth. And the truth is, the accidental version was never that great anyway. What we need is an intentionality around how we build relationships at work and how we build trusting environments. And That's what these tools are allowing us to do.
Yes. And your point about the accidental versions not being so great, that's really, I think, an important point, because I think it's really easy to long for the good old days, like how things used to be. And things were so wonderful when we were just all together and we would just organically have all these empowering, incredibly innovative collaborations and, so on and so forth. And those things did happen, but they largely didn't happen organically. Like, you still had to do them in a meaningful, purposeful, very present kind of an approach, even when we were in the office. There's nothing like, in my opinion, there's just nothing magical about being in the same office space, especially when people have their cubicles or their own individual offices where they're not interacting anyways, right? And so that's not to say that you can't leverage the power of being together in person, because there can be real power in that. But the default day to day for most people in the office isn't generally like huge amounts of collaboration or coaching or mentoring or any of those things, unless leaders make it a priority, unless they're very intentional about it, right?
And it's hard, even if you're intentional, if you don't have the right tools, it just takes so much time and effort. And so that's been the hard part about it. And Rising Team, we're trying to just make that easier for people to do when they want to be intentional, to give them the tools to ask the right questions, to set some time aside, to get to understand people more deeply. And it doesn't matter, as it turns out, whether you are in person or whether you are virtual. It matters that you set aside time to do it. And this is actually I have two big mistakes that managers make. And, I teach a class also at the business school at Stanford on this topic. And I always say that there's really two big mistakes that leaders and managers make. The first is they think everyone's just like them. And it's just universally untrue. So managers will often, think, because I like to be appreciated in a certain way, that's how other people like to be appreciated, or this is how I want my feedback, and that's how other people want it. It's really not true. And the only way we really understand how other people want to be treated in the workplace is to ask them. And then the second big mistake they make, and maybe this one is less of a mistake and more of the pressure on them, but they don't take the time to intentionally focus on their teams, right? So they say, I don't have time. We're so focused on our goals. I need to hit all my numbers. I can't take time and set aside time to understand my team. And that is also universally problematic, because the data is very clear that by doing just a little bit of that, just a little bit of, I care about you, I want to understand you, that teams get massively more engaged. They rate their managers higher and so forth.
Yeah, you can't afford not to do it, right? So anytime I hear someone say that, I'm just too busy. Busy doing what? Like, being a leader means doing these things. And so if you're not doing these things, if you're just running around putting out fires all day, being reactive to things rather than being strategic and proactive and intentional in how you're interacting with people, that's not really leadership. I mean, it's not good leadership anyways. And so I get why people fall into that trap, and it becomes a bit of a downward spiral. Like, you really can get trapped and sucked into it, and it's hard to get, find your way out of it, to even put in the little bit of time, like you were saying. It doesn't often take a lot to start making some pretty big improvements with your team if you just do it consistently. Yet that's still one of the most common things I hear from leaders is like, they know it's important, they want to do it, they just don't have the time. They don't know when they can do it. They don't know when they can carve it out in their day. And I'm like, if you can just put some effort towards this, in the short run, it'll be hard. But as time goes on, it'll get easier and easier, because you're going to be freeing up more of your time.
Yes, you have way fewer conflicts and
exactly
way fewer people coming to you needing, major support. It's funny. I sometimes point to the scene in Maverick, the movie. Have you seen this movie?
I have, yeah.
Where he takes them to the beach to play, flag ball, and the admiral comes over and says, what are we doing? We have a big important mission. What are we doing playing games here? We have only 3 days left. And, Tom Cruise turns to him and says, you said to create a team, sir. there's your team. And the truth is you just can't do it without, and again, I don't think flag football is the perfect way to do that. I think there are more authentic ways to get to deeply understand each other. That said, you got to take the time, as you said. And, our version, we suggest running a couple sessions a quarter. So it's sort of like 3 to 4 hours per quarter in total. That's less than 1% of your time. And we see it in the data. It's really clear that teams that take that time have higher engagement, higher manager effectiveness, higher intent to stay at their companies, and teams that don't do it are lower. It's really, really clear in the data.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've laid the groundwork for why this is important. Now let's start talking about what you've put together there at Rising Team, this personal AI coach. And if you can explain that a little bit and describe what that is and how it can be used, then we can explore, the impacts on overall team development.
Absolutely. So Rising Team is a team performance platform, and it has 2 major components. The first is software guided team workshops. So we believe that the best way to develop teams is the combination of deep human connection and AI to help us be better, faster, more efficient. And so the first part is the connection piece, and we build software in what we call kits that leaders can run by following the software without needing an outside facilitator. And those kits are on the topics that drive high performing teams. So things like psychological safety or appreciation. And the sessions range in length from 15 minutes to 2 hours. And again, you kind of just hit go and it walks you through everything from a warm-up icebreaker to an activity to reflections and so forth, just like a facilitator would, but you don't need the facilitator. And it's no time to plan. You pick a session off the shelf, you run it, and what you get is much more trust on a team, more connection, more understanding of how to work together. Where the AI coach comes in is that even when I sit face-to-face with you and I learn really interesting things about you, I am human. So at the end of the day, it is hard for me to perfectly remember those things. And where AI can help me is actually if all the data and insights that you're putting into your Rising Team sessions that you've already shared with me are now known by an AI coach, I can go ask that coach questions like, John told me he's feeling burned out. How do I support him? Or, John just missed his last 2 deadlines. How do I give him feedback on that? Or John did an amazing job launching this big project. How do I appreciate him? And that coach will give me custom answers based on what you want and how you operate as a human in the workplace, different than if I asked, questions about someone else on my team, I would get a completely different answer. And like any AI it can also write me a script and it can edit that script and do all those things. The unique part about our coach is that it knows your team. And it knows your team in a way that's probably better than you do because you can't remember all the things, and then make it available also not only to the team leader, but also to the team members. So team members can go say things like, how do I tell my manager that this meeting is really ineffective? And it will answer you about your manager or your teammates as well.
And how do you go about training that model within an individual team?
Yeah, so we start with the baseline models, and we actually use all the various models. So we have ChatGPT and we have Gemini and so forth. And those models are already fairly well trained with leadership best practices and leadership science that's out there on the internet. Then what we do is we add some of our Rising Team frameworks and philosophies, and we add the custom unique insights about each person from their session. So let's say with my team as an example, I've already done sessions on things like appreciation preferences. So they've already entered in a session with me. I know, for instance, if someone wants to be appreciated in private or in public, if they like to be appreciated for small things very often or for big things less frequently. I know if they prefer cash or gifts or more scope or, being asked for their advice. All of those things have been entered already in a session we did together. And all of that data is used to also prompt the model so that it gives you answers. And then it's like a coach. So we've trained it to behave like a leadership coach in that it will do things like ask you clarifying questions and help you tighten your answers to be really effective.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like you said, there's a lot of models out there. And I've dabbled with them and I've explored and I've found that just some of the kind of generic models that are out there are, can be useful to varying degrees, but where the rubber meets the road, is the details with a given individual within a given team dynamic, right? And so finding ways, like you just said, to really train kind of a baseline model on some of that additional information is going to be really, really important for it to really be targeted coaching, targeted mentoring, targeted development advice for individuals. That's super cool.
And if you start with the premise that, again, leaders are super overwhelmed and don't have a lot of time, this is going to make sure they are really effective in way less time. So my point is, like, you can't not do the deeply connecting sessions first. Like, what I'm not going to do is give everyone a survey to fill out and then in the AI on that, because the reason this works is because first I sat with you face to face, either like this on a camera or in person, and I listened to you talk about how you want to be appreciated and how you like to be listened to and what energizes you every day. And then if I ask AI for advice on how to work with you in that way, it still feels okay. It still feels like I first took the time to understand you. And the detail is pretty impressive. Like, I have to say, when I first did the outline for Rising Team and imagined this company, I had a section called Custom AI Coach. And I knew, 4 years ago that I wanted to build that. But 4 years ago, I actually couldn't build it. Sure. And so the fact that we can build it now kind of amazes me every day. Like, I have someone on my team who, was going through a lot. And I asked, Artie is what we call our coach. And I said, hey, Artie, how do I help support this person during a challenging time? And the things it put back to me were things like, this person likes to take breaks in the middle of the day to get outside, remind them to go outside in the middle of the day. It said, she only likes to work on 2 to 3 things at a time. So look at her to-do list with her and make sure she's narrowing it down. And, there were just such specific recommendations that were tailored to her that it made me a much better colleague and manager for her in that moment than, I have 25 years of experience doing this, and I am still better with this tool also.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is we can all be better regardless of how attentive you are. And some people are, I'm always amazed by those individuals who never forget a name. They remember all your family members. They remember the important dates. Like, there are people that can like store all of that in their head. Yes. And it blows my mind. It amazes me, but they're so rare. Yes. And what we want is everyone to have that capacity. And with these tools, you can achieve that. Because you don't have to store all that information in your head and pull it out, just at the snap of your fingers. You literally can use the tool to remind you. And it's not, just to reiterate what you said multiple times, this isn't just outsourcing the human connection to AI, because you're already doing the work to develop relationships with your people, to see them, to hear them, to understand them. The tool is just that. It's a tool to augment your capacity so that you can do things faster, more efficiently, and still have that deep, meaningful connection in ways that people will appreciate.
Yeah, and that is actually the power of AI, right? It can help us do the things that are not uniquely human, like write things quickly and pull out a bunch of facts so that we can spend more time on the things that are uniquely human. And in the end, having the conversation. So even though I ask the AI for tips about what to do when someone's burned out, in the end, I'm not just going to send them an email from the AI. I'm going to use that to have a conversation. I mean, some people might. And to be honest, sending an email written from AI is probably already better than not doing nothing at all, which is probably what they were doing before. So even in this case, I think, we're removing a lot of friction, and we start everybody from their baseline. So similar with the other part of Rising Team, you don't have to have ever facilitated anything before to do that well. And the people who are brand new to it, just read the instructions off the page and it is okay. We get, 90+% top 2 box scores, even for brand new facilitators. And then they learn over time, they practice, they learn by practicing, and they get better and better. And the same is with the AI. So you might, to start, some people might be biased to not have the conversation at all. And so let's say AI can take out the friction for you so that you can at least have a start at the conversation, even if you use it word for word and send it in an email to start with. And then over time, you get more and more comfortable and adept at human empathy.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has just been a really fun conversation. I know we've only scratched the surface, but I also know at the time I need to let you go here in a few minutes. Before we wrap things up, I wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, where they can find out more about this personalized AI coach, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
Sure. So I am at Dulski, Dulski, on pretty much every service, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, et cetera. I would love if people connect to me on LinkedIn. Our website is risingteam.com, just the way it sounds. And there is actually Artie, our AI coach. It's live with our existing customers in testing now, and it will launch live publicly to new customers in June. So there's a little sign up for the wait list for people who want to get that first access to Artie. And yeah, my closing thoughts on this are just that it doesn't take as much time as you think to be intentional about making your team feel valued. And there are tools like Rising Team that can make that even easier.
Yeah, awesome. I think it's so cool. I'm really excited to see this and to play with it, and to just see where this world of AI augmented support for leaders continues to develop in the years to come. Because, on the one hand, yes, people are afraid of AI stealing their jobs, but we need tools to help us with the human side of what we do. We're always going to need leaders. We're always going to need people who can run teams, who can drive empowered, innovative teams of people to do cool stuff. And we just need tools to help us do that better and better in a really complex world. So this is one of many tools to come. And I'm really excited to see how things continue to develop. Well, Jennifer, this has just been a great conversation. Thank you so much. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Jennifer and her team can do for you. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.